Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a Tuesday podcast here with Down the Line with Jeremy Humphrey. Had a couple of days off. We had to get some field prep going for the Yetis down there at State Lake. So took a little couple of days to get back on the podcast timeline here, but we're back. Today we've got Coach Jeff Patrick from Buckeye Local. Welcome, Coach, and thank you for joining us.
I appreciate you having me. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. For those that don't know you, give a little introduction to start the podcast off, who you are, what you're about.
Originally graduated from Crooksville High School, 20 minutes south of Zanesville. Played there, started varsity for 4 years under who's still the head coach there, Sean Chamberlain. Pretty big impact on me, how I play the game, a lot of situational stuff. Had a big impact. After I graduated high school, I went to Wheeling Jesuit. Played there for 4 years, had 3 different head coaches in 4 years. So kind of adapting each coach's philosophy, things that I dislike, things I like, and kind of making it my own. Big part of what I learned in college was base running wins close games, especially in high school. If you can get to second base 9 times out of 10 with 1 out or no outs, you're probably going to score a run just off of basic mistakes. So I think that that was one of the things that Coach Avenante taught us out there, and Coach Edwards did too, just trying to get to second base and maximizing our efforts. So one of the big things we focus on, getting to second, having a chance to score opportunities in high school baseball.
Where did you play? You said you played college at Wheeling, right?
Yes, yeah.
What position did you play there?
I was an infielder, mostly. I started as middle infielder, transitioned over to third base in the later half. That's where I played my junior and senior year.
So would you say that obviously defense is probably one of your key factors that you love to teach the most?
Absolutely. I love infield work, especially when we can get outside and just kind of get the fungos going, footwork. Obviously with the weather, we're more inside than we are outside. But just kind of simplifying things. We have dailies that we do every single day before we get started. We start with no glove, working on picking the baseball right at us, glove side, backhands. We work up on our feet with bare hands, and then we work with our gloves on too. And I think that just gives us a good foundation of what we're trying to do with the baseball, because we're always trying to come through it. We're not really letting the baseball play us, if that makes sense. We're trying to make a play on the baseball. And I think that our dailies help us with that. We've done a really good job getting better at it. Like our juniors and seniors, now that they've been here for 3 and 4 years and they know we do it, they just kind of get right into it. The first few practices of my first year making them do it, they weren't necessarily happy with getting on the gym floor on their knees for 10 minutes or so. But now that the guys are used to it, it's just second nature to them, you know?
Yeah. And every time a new coach comes in and introduces their style and their philosophy, especially whether fielding in particular, when you start getting the team partner drills, working everything, they probably don't like that so much. They're used to what they had beforehand, and so having somebody new come in and teach a different philosophy is
And I'll be honest, I was really lucky. We had a good group of juniors and seniors that kind of bought in early and kind of laid the foundation, which I was really thankful for. It wasn't too hard to get them going, but it was definitely like we're going to stress this more than just, hey, I'm going to hit you ground balls for an hour today, and that's all we're going to do. There's a process to it, and it's obviously glove work, but it's also footwork. We're doing ladders, we're doing stuff on the baseline, we're working through the baseball. So I think that plays into it.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. Maybe we should, everybody in the Valley, all the head coaches should get together and do a big seminar for youth coaches and youth area guys.
We want to for our area. We're going to do it soon, hopefully, because Buckeye is such a big district. We have 7 or 8 towns that have their own little league programs.
Nice.
So getting those guys together and trying to get them to work towards the same goal, which thankfully we started a junior high program with a couple former players are coaching, so they're able to kind of teach them what we're working on, and obviously a lesser version because they're 13 and 14 years old, but
Right.
having that foundation set of the expectations once they walk in, first day of practice, freshman year, off-season workouts, whatever it may be, they have the expectation and goal. And I'm hoping in the future we can get it to trickle down all the way down to, I mean, hopefully 9 and 10-year-olds, even coach pitch, even trying to go to some of their games and seeing how they do things is important.
Absolutely. I can tell you how many times I've cut grass, whether it be anywhere that I've cut grass where there's a baseball field nearby, and I watch as practice goes on, and none of the fundamentals are really being taught. They just get out there, they throw, they go through base running real quick, and then they just go and do team defense, and no fun. Like they don't break it down in the stations where first baseman. I mean,
absolutely.
Like the other day, I was cutting, I saw a softball team out, and I swear they probably had 8 coaches out on the field, but not one coach did like first base. Not one coach worked with like defense, infielders, and outfielders. Like it was just team defense and let's go. Like I was like, well.
And I do think that I'm hoping that we see a transition of that with our youth, because there's such an importance on getting, like, third baseman doesn't feel the same way as a shortstop or second baseman. The angles are different. The throwing motion is going to be a little different. So I think having that, and I'm really thankful now because I have a good staff around me. The first year it was really me and my varsity assistant coach, and we had 2 JV coaches, so there's 4 of us. Now we have 6 guys just on the varsity staff helping out, and then 3 or 4 guys with the JV. So we're able to kind of maximize that more. Like we'll have one guy with, if we're doing infield work, we have one guy with the catchers. I'll go with the middle infield, and then we'll have someone go with the first baseman, someone go with the third baseman, and then we kind of work together to kind of get to the same point. So we're able to do that now, where before I was kind of running around station to station to make sure everyone's doing the right things. And I don't think we were able to maximize our full potential because they're still kids. If your eyes aren't on them, they're not doing everything 100% right all the time. So having someone there just to kind of reassure them and get them doing the right thing, whether it be footwork or glove work, whatever it may be. But we're really fortunate. We have a couple guys go with our outfield, 3 or 4 guys go with our infield now. We've done a good job building our staff, and everyone's kind of coming back. I always tell people all the time that my biggest accomplishment is I have 4 former players over the past 3 years that have come back and joined the staff to help out, whether it be junior high or high school. And I think that pays dividends because they know the expectation that we have had for them. So they're relaying the same information to these younger kids, whether it be JV or 7th and 8th grade. I think it's a huge accomplishment for us. And I think it speaks volumes to like the culture that we're trying to build here is, hey, like, we want you to be a part of this program, whether you can coach or come to a Saturday game and hang out in the dugout and help with Game Changer or something. Like we want our guys to be coming back. And I think that's a goal. And I want to create it even bigger, something more with the alumni before me, even to try to get some of the older guys to come back and see some of our kids play.
Absolutely. So let's go into your staff. How long has your staff been together with you?
So this is 4th year. So this is my first senior group that I've had for all 4 years. My assistant coach that I've had the longest is TJ Jacob. We played together at Wheeling. He graduated from Martins Ferry High School in 15, and then we graduated at Wheeling together in 2019. He's been with me all 4 years. He handles a lot of the outfield work. He played all 3 outfield positions in college, so he has a good understanding of the mindset out there. He does a good job. He helps with hitting too. Luke Vinci has been here for, I think this is his 3rd season. He's with the varsity program now. He was our JV head coach, but now he's up with the varsity team. Matt Scott was our catcher 2 years ago, and he comes back and works with the catchers and the hitters. He throws BP for us.
Nice.
Alan Burkett was a shortstop who he graduated. He was my first year. He played shortstop our first year. He graduated, and he comes back and he helps out with the infield. He'll throw BP, whatever we ask of him. And then we have JD Barath. He graduated that COVID year before I took over. Okay. He's able to come back. He works. He has a job that basically forces him to do either late practices for high school or games for JV or junior high. He does a lot of our junior high stuff. Okay. We have Mike Kowalski, Trevor Zanes, and Kyle Solar rounds out our JV staff. But we got we have a good group of guys that are kind of buying in, making sure that we have everything that we need.
Nice. So let's talk about your schedule here. I'm gonna pull it up. Now this is Max Preps, so
Yes.
they tend to get a lot of things incorrect sometimes, or not all the way on there. So you got Union Local tonight. You
Yep.
played Edison last night, so you were finally able to get out on the field and get some work in. Union Local tonight. You got 2 Saturday with Monroe Central, and then 2 upcoming with Ferry and Barnesville in the middle of that.
Yeah.
The weather screwed up everything last week. So how do you get all of those games back in that had to be rescheduled?
We're gonna try our best, obviously, to do as much as we can. We're gonna try to play 5 to 6 days a week for the most part. It's gonna take a toll on our pitching staff, obviously. Whether we have to play at a neutral site somewhere like Steubenville, where we played at Weir on Saturday against Brook. We've played at Toronto against Creek before. Just trying to get outside to play these teams that we're supposed to play, because these kids need to play as much baseball that they can. They have a limited time for the most part. So we don't want to not play games if we can play them. Especially our MOBL games with Monroe and Shenandoah, Barnesville, all those guys. We have to get those games in no matter what. So the goal is to play as many as we can. I think the one good thing about our team this year is our pitching staff. It's deeper than it's ever been before. We didn't lose a single pitcher to graduation last year, so we have 4 guys that we really trust starting games for us, which is really thankful for that, because we this is our 4th game in 4 days now. We played a doubleheader with Brooks Saturday. We played Edison yesterday. Now we play Union Local tonight. So our 4th guy's going tonight. We have confidence. We have a couple guys in relief.
Yeah.
Hoping he gets deep into the game where we don't have to use him. Use any relievers, obviously, if we don't have to. But yeah, we feel comfortable with our staff. Their arms are feeling good. They're fresh. Not playing for a week, not having bullpens because we weren't able to practice was a little intimidating, but our guys have kind of stepped in and battled through the process and kind of pitched and done a good job so far.
Now, nobody prepares for the spring to be the way that it was last week.
Yeah.
How do you get your guys in the winter prep with their bullpens and stuff like that to kind of prepare themselves for something like this if it was to happen?
So we started late December really trying to get our arms stretched out, more just throwing flat grounds, try to get some of our guys on nicer days to get outside, long toss. We lifted right after football. We started having lifting because all of our guys either play football or golf. So they're obviously working out for their fall sports. So once they're done with that, we're able to get them into the weight room, get them some lifting, conditioning in, hopefully get their bodies feeling up to the task. The one thing that we always do at lifting is we always set up a couple J bands that are doing their band work, making sure their arms are feeling good. And then eventually we're able to work up to our bullpens session, which we went 2 days a week as long as the winter weather was kind to us, which this winter was pretty good for the most part.
It was.
And because we have one school for our junior high and high school, we're just kind of going on the fly. Whenever we can get into a gym and into a facility, that's the day we're picking. That's the day we're going to throw or hit or whatever we need to do. The perfect schedule for us in the winter, the off season, was to let guys come in on Sundays and Thursdays, let them throw, work up. We started with a 20 pitch flat ground, just fastballs, and then we did a couple off speed pitches on a flat ground, and then we got onto the bullpen and we let some of the older guys through 25, a lot of the freshmen through 15 pitches the first time around, to really let them see how their bodies were feeling, because it's different. I mean, if you don't play baseball all year, it takes a toll on your legs, your arm. It takes a toll on our minds too, especially like Caleb Stang. He's a junior. He's been a 3-year varsity pitcher now. He's the guy that we put at the top of our rotation. His first couple bullpens, he wasn't feeling like his normal self. He just wasn't sharp. Location was a problem. And he's like, man, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, well, you haven't thrown a baseball since last summer.
Right.
consistently. And he's like, yeah, I understand that. He's like, I feel like I can throw better. I was like, well, we know you can throw better, but it's about the process of getting your arm into shape and
Right.
feeling it. And then first scrimmage, he came out and filled up the strike zone, mixing all three of his pitches. He primarily throws into the zone, so we were feeling a lot more confident in March than we were in January, of course. But
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
just and I think the big thing is making sure that they feel comfortable throwing off speed uh, into the strike zone. That's one of the things that we try to focus on, especially with our starters, because you can't win high level varsity baseball games if you just throw a fastball. It just doesn't work. Everyone,
No.
I mean, you turn the pitching machine on and you're hitting fastballs. I mean, the simplest approach is hit a fastball early in the count, try to drive the baseball. So we try to work in as much off speed as we can, but also understanding that if we can't get strike one with a fastball, there's really no point of working on anything else either. So,
Right. Can you hit your
um,
spots? Then why throw
yeah,
anything else?
yeah, exactly. But we worked up pretty good. We had a couple weeks of 20 pitches, and then we kind of ramped it up with the guys that we thought were going to start. They worked up to 30, and I think the highest we threw inside before our first scrimmage was around 65 to 70, and that was for
Yeah.
our one or two guys that we knew were going to go long in baseball games. Our guys that we don't expect to throw more than 2 innings at a time. We stretch their arms out to 40, 50 pitches, but
Right.
we're not gonna we don't feel the need to kind of stretch those guys out and expect them to throw 100 pitches in a bullpen and then sit for 3 days because
Right.
we have a junior lefty, Dom Kempton, who pitched Saturday in the doubleheader and then came back and pitched last night in relief. And so we try to have those guys, if we're pitching Sunday to Thursday, hey, on Tuesday you're going to pick up a baseball and you're going to throw a flat ground. Make sure you're feeling good because you're going to have to throw 3 or 4 times a week, rather than, hey, you got the ball on Monday, you're going to go 7 innings and you're done. But with his job, he's got to get ready in a hurry. Sometimes if we're in trouble, we'd send him out to the pen. He gets 5, 6 warm-up pitches, and it's time for him to go. So he does a good job making sure he's ready. Dominic's a really good kid, and he's been working hard for us. So he's a great bullpen arm. Last night he came in the middle of the fourth inning, pitched the rest of the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth, and only gave up 1 run against Edison. So he had
There you
another
go.
good showing last night.
I haven't been able to see the outcome of that one. What was the final outcome of that game?
Last night was 7-5. So Edison beat us 7-5. We struggled early defensively, gave up a few unearned runs, and we kind of battled back. But once you put yourself in a hole, I think it was 7-1 going into the fifth inning. But we battled back, which I was happy with
Yeah,
that effort. But obviously, you got to make the routine plays at the varsity level, and we didn't do a good enough job of that yesterday. Just a couple
absolutely.
errors.
I want to go back to your winter program to start off. You're doing J bands. Are you doing heavy lifting, or are you just doing like in season lifting? What's
So
break it down for me?
our lifting process is, so it was something that I learned from our strength and conditioning coach. Josh Piles was there for a couple years when I was a Jesuit, and then our head coach kind of really focused on a lot of deadlifts, a lot of single leg pistol squats, step ups, a lot of single arm action, and it's because and his idea was, if you're playing baseball, you're pushing off with your right foot. You're not necessarily using both legs to shoot a jump shot like basketball or to
Right,
tackle someone with your full body. So a lot of single arm, single leg workouts, not necessarily heavy all the time. A lot more like 3x5, 3x8s. But we did try to do once a week, try to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 on our squats and deadlifts, just so guys are lifting heavy, because
yeah,
to get stronger, you have to lift heavy weight too.
absolutely.
Which a lot of our guys really bought in this winter. Like we had guys like we had to cancel a couple liftings, and we had guys like, "Is there any way we could get in the weight room? Any way we can get in the weight room?" I'm like, "I'm gonna make a call to see if we can get a coach to come down, get you guys
Nice.
in there," and it worked out. And I think that is another good aspect to it. Our kids want to be here. They don't want to be sitting at home not doing anything. Even in December, I have guys calling me over break to come in and work out, and I think that's a huge perk.
Never a bad thing.
No, definitely not. And it's even the freshmen too. Like the freshmen wanted to, they were running rampant in the weight room. We had 8 or 9 freshmen The kids who didn't play basketball coming every single day. We had 4 freshmen not miss a single open gym or lifting at all. So it was really good to hear. It was really good to see.
What's your roster like this year? Are you senior heavy, you freshman heavy?
So we have a good mix on the varsity team. We're pretty junior heavy on the varsity team. We have 4 seniors. We have right around 10 juniors. And then we have a sophomore that gets a lot of varsity time. And we have a couple freshmen who are kind of used as sub roles, pinch running, just to kind of get them experience playing varsity baseball.
Yeah.
Our freshman and sophomore class, we have 16 on our JV team currently. So we have a good group of kids coming through. We have 30 in total. So which we're thankful for. We're thankful to have the good numbers. We only graduate 4 kids. Hopefully we have all 26 come back out next year, plus the 8 kids that are playing 8th grade baseball now.
Good deal. Any guys to watch for as far as recruiting wise?
So we have a couple juniors that are really interested. Caleb Stang is a lefty pitcher. He wants to play at the next level, and he definitely can pitch at the next level. I don't know what his role or where that'll be. I know he's had a school in Texas reach out to him, Division III school reach out. We have some connections to Bethany, some to Muskingum, so trying to get him out there. But our junior class is really athletic. We have a senior who Jacob Berry. He was all state last year. If he chose to go the recruiting route, he could get a spot on a team next year, whether it be D2 or D3. But he currently goes to the JVS for electrical, so I think he's going to go that route, and we're hoping that whatever he chooses, he's happy with. But I've always kind of put it in the back of his head, like, hey, if you want me to reach out to some people, you can get out there. I mean, he hit 470 last year for most of the year, played a pretty good third base, has caught before, he can play outfield. He's starting at shortstop tonight for us. So
okay.
So he could be someone if he really wanted to. Skylar Ebright's a senior. I think he's going to go to Bethany next year, and we're going to try to reach out to the coach Finley up there and see if he could maybe go up for a tryout or something to see if he can play at that level. We think he can defensively. He's one of the better center fielders I think that I've seen this year and last year. But I think that he can. Wyatt Leister is having a really good year at the plate so far. Alex McDiffit, our catcher, is doing a good job for us. So I think we have some guys who can go to the next level, but at the same time, you really have to want to do that too. It's not something that just is going to come to you. I mean, when I got to school my freshman year, like I thought I loved baseball, and then I realized that once you get to that level, it's basically a job. It's 7-8 hours a day of just baseball, and you kind of learn to love it, of course, because you want to play the games and everything. But the preparation is tedious. We had 5 a.m. workouts and then practice in the evenings. I mean, it's a lot, and with class in the middle. But I'm always here to help our guys kind of reach that potential. We video open gyms, at practices, their mechanics. So if we can send it out to coaches, we can. We've had 3 or 4 kids go to showcases. I forgot to mention, we have a sophomore, Grant Dombrowski. He's an infielder pitcher. He's already up around 86 on the gun, and he's he has some room to grow, like body wise. He can get stronger, throw even harder. Location's been the big problem with him to start the year, but we noticed something last game that we're going to tinker with his finish that we're hoping can maybe fix some of the location issues. He's missing high. His front side's just flying open a little too early, and so we're going to hope to work on him today before we play, and hopefully on Friday or Saturday he can throw for us.
We'll talk after this about a drill.
Okay.
My pitching coach that does the travel ball stuff with me, he's at Potomac State, and we had a scrimmage last night, and I kind of told him what one of our pitchers was doing, and he instantly already had a TikTok drill that he would instantly sent me for that same instance of flying open and releasing the ball high and away. So we'll talk afterwards, and I'll show you that video.
I'll gladly take that. I'll gladly take that for sure.
We're all here to spread the word. So any way that we can help each other, I mean, that's the way it works out sometimes.
That's the one good thing I love about baseball is it's like it's such a universal game. Everyone's helping everybody. If you see something, it's like an easy thing to talk about. I mean, when I feel like other sports coaches are a little more secretive on things about how they do
Yeah,
stuff, and baseball is a lot more universal. And TikTok has been a breath of fresh air, I think, seeing
yeah.
everyone on TikTok.
There's still some coaches in the valley though that secrets are secrets, and
Yeah,
we don't tell those secrets.
yeah,
Obviously, I help with Toronto and Coach
yeah,
Perkins for the last 2 years. So like, the secrets are secrets. I told
yeah.
him when I did this, I was not gonna, you know, spill the beans on some of the stuff that we do. So, um, I want to go back to your guy Caleb. I'm a Texas guy, so what school in Texas was looking at him?
It was I think it was, I can't remember the name of it. I think it was a religious school. I don't know if it was a Baptist or something along those lines. But he's a lefty. He throws 4 pitches. His changeup, he really needs to work on his changeup to get it to be a strike. Fastball, curveball, slider, all is in the zone a lot. His
Yeah,
curveball, he can seriously throw frisbees. He doesn't know how he does it. Show him a grip and he can just somehow spin the
figure it out.
baseball. He's just one of those guys that is just naturally gifted when it comes to spinning it. His two seam's pretty good. Um, but his problem, I think his if he can get a little bit stronger and throw a little bit harder, I think he'll have a lot of success at the next level. Just with his, if you have to trust a hard fastball with his off speed mix, you're going to be in. When he gets ahead of counts, he's really tough to hit against, and he's had success. Last year, his ERA was like a 2.3. He threw, I think it was 68 innings as a sophomore. He was our workhorse, and we kind of feed him the load if he's available to start and he's feeling fresh. He's on the mound that day. That's how we feel about him. He's our guy.
Nice. Are you a travel ball guy?
So I was really thankful growing up. I had a good group of friends that I was able to play rec ball, and then we went to travel tournaments after the fact.
Yeah,
I think for every kid is obviously different. I think that some kids need to play as much baseball as that they can because of the level that they are. Um, I don't think travel ball is for everyone, of course. I think some
right.
kids need to focus on more just playing the game, getting better, getting to that point. I do
Not have that
think,
much pressure on them.
yeah, I think it's a lot of pressure with traveling, playing 5 to 8 games a weekend. People making their entire weekends around it. I think travel ball is great. My wife and I, thankfully, we had a son last November. So
Oh,
whenever he gets
congratulations.
Thank you. Whenever he gets to that time and he's ready, he'll 100% play travel ball, and I'm looking forward to it. So I'm all for it. I just think that parents need to do right by their kids and make sure that they're not putting them in something that they're not ready for. I think that
Right.
that's a big problem as we see with baseball. I think you see it more than other sports because everyone has either coached or played baseball at some point in their lives just because it's so easy. You show up with a glove and you can play. Um,
Right.
I think that making sure that your kid wants to be there and not force feeding them too much baseball is important. I had a couple friends that I played all the way up with, but once we got to high school, they were like, I don't really love it anymore. They
Yeah.
took a year. They took a year off, and then halfway through the season, they're like, I'm really regretting not playing. He's like, I thought I didn't love it, and now I know I do now. So I
Yeah.
think that every kid's different, of course. I wouldn't recommend it for kids who are just getting into it. Like if you're a 10-year-old kid and it's your second or third year playing baseball, I don't think you should go be playing in travel ball tournaments or anything like that. But if you're taking it seriously, I think there's a lot of good from it, and more baseball the better as long as they can handle it body wise.
Right.
I think especially with the pitch count rules and everything that's in place and people being wiser and smarter. When I played in little league, I'm 27, so like 15 years ago, you could go to a tournament and teams were throwing one guy for 4 or 5 games in a row, and that's not good for your. It's not good
Right.
for a 12-year-old when it comes to their body or their mind or anything. So
Yeah.
I think as long as we're being smart with our kids and their arms and taking care of them, I think it's good.
Yeah. I can't remember what coach it was. that we was talking with, and we were talking about tournaments and pitch counts. Oh, it was Tim Provenzano, not Coach.
Okay.
And we were talking about pitch counts and how some of these tournaments, they say, hey, we're going to go by MLB pitch count rules, but then you look at the fine print and it says it's just a recommendation.
Yeah.
So then you'll see kids go out there, throw 120 pitches in 2 days. And, you know, like
That's
if you're a
crazy.
travel ball organization, how do you not build a roster that has 11 kids and all 11 kids can throw?
And I think that that's important too, because we don't know how 11-year-olds are going to grow into their body. You might have a kid that's playing outfield who you never let throw, and then they get to high school and they're 6'4", and it's
Right.
like you don't pitch. It's like, no, I never pitched before. It's like, get these kids on the mound, get their mechanics in, and let them throw in games.
Yeah.
So by the time they get to high school, they've had experience, and I think that's the thing that travel ball can offer is experience, experience. Which I think if it's really reckless to be one of those coaches who don't follow basic, I feel like it's common sense at this point when it comes to pitch counts. Like, if you ruin a kid's arm when they're 12, 13 years old, it's not going to be good, or even younger than that. I know kids are pitching at 10U now and like really, really working hard and throwing off speed and everything.
Yeah. And that's what me and Coach Provenzano talked about was, you know, at what age is it correct to throw a curveball? Like, what age do you teach a curveball? And he said 12, 13.
Yeah.
He says if you're teaching it the correct way, and, you know, it's not how we used to do it, you know, when we were younger. There's a new mechanic way to do it at a young age to kind of spin it somewhat like a football.
Yeah.
Where it's not putting that much pressure on your elbow and stuff like that. So people are doing it. I know that there's some tournaments around here. There's not very many of them, but there's 8U coach pitch tournaments out there, or kid pitch tournaments out there. We played in one before when Braxton was 7. We played in the Cap Classic, and we signed up for the wrong age group, and we didn't know it, and it was a kid pitch tournament. Luckily, we had a team full of athletes who were able to go out there and figure it out on the fly.
Yeah.
So, you know, we did it, and, you know, we were somewhat competitive. We didn't make that mistake the next year, and guarantee you that.
That probably would have been kind of a nightmare, but fun all at the same time. So
it really was, you know, because I mean, how often do you get to see, you know, your little 7-year-old kid or 8-year-old kid go out there and then throw, you know, off a mound in a you know, stressful situation like that. So I mean, it was fun. And, you know, we learned.
Sure. Yeah, that's for sure.
But yeah, no, we faced. I think it was in 10U. We were in South Carolina. We saw New Albany Gold from Columbus area. You know, they were throwing curveballs at 10. Some of our guys were trying to throw it at 10, and I said, let's work on a fastball changeup first, and we'll work on that once we get to 12. Now it just seems to be the norm. You go to a 10U tournament, you're going to see some kid out there throwing curveballs. It's just it's the way it is.
It's my friend. When my friends were first starting out throwing, we waited our 12-year-old year. Our dads that were our coaches are, all right, it's time to start trying to throw other things. Now, my best friend and growing up he worked really hard. He was pretty blessed. He got a scholarship at Youngstown State. His name was Chris Sparks. But our 12-year-old year, he threw so hard he didn't even have to worry about off speed yet. So he was lucky enough. And then another one of our friends, it was if he threw 75 pitches, 60 of them were probably breaking balls, just because he was able to spin it so well, and it didn't hurt his arm. His arm was always recovered well, and I think it was the new school approach to the curveball and everything.
Yeah.
So I wish that there was something that black and white that said, here's the right answer, this is what we should follow.
Right.
But I think it's probably different for everyone's bodies and how they throw it, how they have natural torque on their arm and everything. I watched a video of Adam Wainwright the other day. Actually, the same conversation is, what's the right age to throw a curveball? And he was talking about how he doesn't know the age, but he said he doesn't think that it makes sense to allow a high school kid to never throw one, let them get big and strong, and then throw a curveball 100%. He said, I feel like that's going to cause more arm issues than younger kids learning how to throw with proper mechanics whenever their body's not necessarily fully matured, which I understand that point of view too. But I think that if your kid is 10 years old and he's already throwing tons of curveballs, it's a lot of miles on your arm at a young age. I think that it's
Yeah.
probably safer to fastball changeup, work up to off speed stuff. But I guess it's probably uh, parents' discretion. Obviously, I wouldn't be comfortable with my son throwing a curveball at 9 or 10 years old,
No.
obviously. But I
That was
I would,
that's been my biggest thing with my team specifically was, coach, watch me throw this curveball, and they'll throw a curve, and I'm like, that's great. Put it in your back pocket. We'll talk
yeah,
about it when we
yeah,
get a little older. And
yeah,
then it came to we're playing in elite tournaments, and we can't live off just fastballs because, like you said earlier, with that Brook game, if the strike zone is tight and you're throwing it down the middle, and these other
yeah,
teams are throwing off-speed curveballs, and you can't adjust. Why are you playing in elite tournaments if everybody else is doing it? You might as well jump on board. So that's when we had
exactly right.
our pitching coach really kind of teach the kids on how to grip and how to throw a curveball the correct way. And our pitching coach for those winners was Nate Carafa. He did some stuff with our guys where we set up some stuff with him, and they came in during the week, and he would do some pitching mechanics, and he showed some of the older kids on how to grip a curveball and how to throw it the correct way. So kudos to Nate Carafa, who's out
Yeah,
in New Jersey now. So
yeah, I saw that he pitched the other day. That's awesome.
yeah, he did
It's really, really cool.
perfect ninth inning. That was awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, good for him. Absolutely. So we enjoy seeing Nate come in the wintertime. When any chance that we get to utilize him for the couple of weeks that we get him, we're going to take advantage of it if he's available. I know
1,000%.
his younger brother played basketball for Toronto, so he was busy, spending time with his family like he should,
Yeah.
So we'll take advantage of it when he's available. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great resource to have, and I think anyone that really comes back and helps the younger kids is just a huge tip of the cap. I tell the guys that help us out that graduated, they don't have to come back to coach. They're working jobs, they're going to college and still coming back and helping out. So that's like the ultimate that's a good kid, good person, good person to have around your program. So that's good to hear.
Absolutely.
I'm glad that he helps you out.
We are too.
I would feel the same way.
One thing I want to get to is your coaching philosophy. You a small ball guy? What kind of philosophy?
I think it depends on your roster. I think if you're a team that really has guys who can hit the ball and hit it hard, I think that you can kind of avoid small ball as much. I prefer to steal second base or hit and run to get to second base more so than bunting. But once we get to the bottom of the lineup, that's where I'm more comfortable saying, hey, we're going to get a bunt down. We're going to turn the lineup over with a runner on second or third and give our 1, 2, 3 a chance to get that guy in. I know our 1 through 6. I feel confident right now that if there's a runner on first base, I would rather have a chance to score 2 or 3 runs in the first or second inning rather than playing for that 1 run to start.
Right.
I do think there's situations where you're playing a good guy. If you're facing like a Don Boucher or a Hunter Hoffman, if you get a guy on first with no outs early in the game, maybe change your mindset, take advantage of that, and try to get him over to get him in because you get very limited chances against true aces in high school baseball. Teams rarely have someone that can throw that hard and are all on top of it, of course. But when you're playing a guy that, I think small ball is the better answer. But I think if you're playing a guy that you should be able to get him in the stretch consistently, I think playing for the bigger inning is better. Now we played Barnesville the other, I guess it's probably a week and a half ago now. Coach Butler does a really great job. I mean, if we got a runner on, if we let a runner on with no outs, that his entire goal was getting them to second base, and it worked. They scored. I think we lost 5-0. 4 innings, 4 of the 5 or 4 innings that they scored in, they got a leadoff guy on with no outs. They either hit and ran, bunted, stole, really executed getting that guy to second base, and he did they did a great job executing. We didn't hit well that day, but they did a good job executing, getting him over and then getting him in, which is obviously our goal, of course. But if Jacob Berry comes up in the first inning with a runner on first and second, we're not playing small ball in that situation.
Right.
We're gonna let him swing it. Now, if our 7-hole hitter leads off with a hit and our 8-hole guy comes up, we're thinking bunt. And if he gets in, our 9-goal comes up, we're thinking bunt too. So I think it just comes down to who's up, the situation. Do we need a run? Do we need two? I know we played Barnesville the other night. We were down 3-0 in the fifth, and we had a runner get on low in the lineup, and it's like one run's not going to cut it here. We need to try to get 2 or 3 on the board.
Right.
And obviously didn't work out in that situation, but I think it's all matchups. It's all depends on the right situation. So the answer is yes and no. I think.
Yeah.
I like the approach that we have at the plate majority of the time. I like to trust our guys and let them play, and we have some guys that we give the green light to if they get on first base. They feel like they can get a good jump to steal a bag or two, which they've done a good job. We really emphasize base running. The first 20 to 30 minutes of each practice is we're working on steals from first to second, dirt ball reads, primary, secondaries from thirds, just really trying to maximize because that's where we try to own second bases more that way than playing small ball early in the lineup.
Absolutely. What is your plate approach with trying to get pitch counts up? Because I know we had practice the other day with travel, and I had the machine pumped on pretty hard, and they kept foul tipping, foul ball, foul ball, foul ball, and they're getting upset because they're not making contact. But what they don't understand that is if in a game you're getting a pitch count and an at bat to go up to 10, 12 pitches every time a player steps in the box, we're doing something right because now we're getting the pitch count up for that pitcher, and I feel like every time we play somebody, we always see their ace. So if we're taking, 10 pitches an at bat, kudos. I'm all for it. Whether the outcome is good or bad, we're still getting that pitch count up.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of it has to do with our approach and who are we facing that day. If we're facing a guy that can really spin the ball and throw off speed for a strike, we're going to change our approach. But our approach isn't. We're not hunting off speed pitches until we have to. We're trying to zone up fastballs. That's what you're taught to hit. That's what you learn to hit. That's the easiest thing to hit. So we're trying to zone up fastballs. I like to tell our guys like, hey, I think that we're going to have an announcement real quick. Sorry about that. So our goal is we want to zone up. So we're not really. We try to find our guys, tell our guys, hey, what's your spot? What's the pitch that you want to drive? Where can you do the most damage on? And it's different for everyone. Is it an up and in? Is it low and away? Is it down the middle, high or low? Like we have a few guys that are like, coach, if it's fastball, I feel comfortable. I can hit it. I'm like, that's fine for you, but not everyone feels that way.
Right.
Like I hated the up and in fastball. If you got it up around my hands, I hated it. But if it was a little low, I felt super comfortable. I could get my hands to it, and I felt good. So we're trying to zone up early in the count, and then we just kind of as we get a strike, we're expanding a little bit more. As we get 2 strikes, we're really trying to just fight off tough pitches. If it's a borderline pitch, I tell our guys we just get a bat on it. I don't care if it's fouled off. It's high school baseball. If you get it in play, I mean, there's
cause havoc on the bases.
Exactly right. And we did it the other day at Monroe. We had a runner on first and third. We hit a chopper to the second baseman, and he had to come get it, threw a ball up against the fence. Everyone was safe. And when things like that happen, like that's just putting the ball in play and doing your job. You can't. Striking out's the easiest out in high school baseball. If you strike out a lot, you struggle, which we've done a better job of that recently. I'm hoping it continues. The first few scrimmages and the first doubleheader that we had, I was getting really nervous that we were going to be a really small ball team because we weren't putting the ball in play enough. But really, I tried to tell our guys we expand the zone and spoil a good pitch, like spoil it, foul it off, fight it off as well as you can. Now, obviously, it's easier said than done when you're facing a quality arm. But that's obviously the goal is to try to spoil off. Like you said, if you're in an at bat with a pitcher and you foul off 4 or 5 straight pitches with 2 strikes, they're frustrated. They're going to either start getting wild out of the zone because they're frustrated, or they're going to throw you a ball down the middle that you can finally handle, and that's the one you hit up the middle for a really good at bat single.
Yep.
And that's our focus. We want to handle mistakes and try to eliminate good spots, because the Valley's not short on competitive baseball.
No.
There's some highly competitive teams, good baseball players in the Valley, which when I first got here, I didn't understand how good and how deep the Valley was when it comes to baseball. But it's impressive. Like our coaches in the Valley have done a really good job with just building up their teams and building up their programs. And
Yeah.
like Coach Perkins at Toronto, like you said, Coach Sleva at St. Clairsville, Coach Valesco, Coach Reesbeck, Coach Hetherington, like those guys around us, that it's easy to look at them and be like, I want to copy some of the things that they do and try to get that to our program. So
Yeah,
I
Coach
think that,
Coach Saliva and them just threw a no-hitter versus Creek, which
yeah,
Creek's no slouch.
I mean, Creek, they like I tell people all the time, it doesn't matter what game you go up there for, you're gonna have to hit with them to win. If you
Yeah,
don't score runs against Creek, they're gonna put it to you. Which Coach Cottis does a good job. He's a great guy too.
absolutely.
And they have a really good approach at the plate. We scrimmaged them, and we fared pretty well. I think it was 6-1. We didn't do too bad. We got a lot of fly ball outs, which I think that's the team that they are. They're gonna hit. They're gonna find gaps though.
Yeah, they
You're
are.
gonna be you're gonna have to play well against them, and I think he does a good job with them.
Yeah,
I want to pick his brain to see how they always hit, no matter what. They always hit.
maybe that's one of the secret things that he didn't talk on the podcast about is
Yeah,
his philosophy to hitting.
yeah.
But yeah,
They do a great
they're
job.
definitely one of the teams that I have starred on. One of the teams to watch this year to make a postseason run. Obviously, the same thing happened with Harrison Central. They came down to us. They had 2 really bad games to end their season last year, and then Coach Valesco was able to get them guys back on board, and they went on an incredible run last
It was
year.
an incredible run, and I mean,
Yeah.
they didn't even. If I still don't know if Trey was healthy and able to throw, Trey Rex.
Who
I,
knows?
and that's exactly right. And it's crazy that they were able to accomplish that without him in
Yeah.
their rotation. And I mean, Nemeth is one of the. Am I still here?
Yeah. You must have got a text message or something.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No,
Sorry
you're
about
right.
that.
Yeah,
Treston
Nemeth can hit the cover off the ball, can he?
Yeah, he's the real deal. He's everything. I mean, probably the best high school hitter I've seen in person.
Yeah.
He was the real deal. I got to see it. We played my first year coaching. He was a sophomore. And he killed us. And I was talking to Valesco after the game, and I don't know if he tore his hamstring or pulled his hamstring. We didn't know it at the time, but he couldn't run, and he hit like a double off the wall the first at bat. They pinch ran for him. I was like, oh, that's weird. Why'd they pinch run for him?
Right.
And then one of the kids were like, I think he's hurt. So he came up in the 6th or 7th inning, and we're putting him on. We're not pitching to this kid again, because he was, and that was. I mean, I think that was his first year playing varsity baseball because of the COVID year. So I mean, not being from the area, not coaching the year before, not really knowing what to expect, you're kind of going in blind until the 2nd or 3rd week of the season, and he definitely did some damage to us.
Yeah, he's definitely a solid player. I can't wait to see what he does down in Dayton. This last segment here, Coach. Oh, actually, one thing I wanted to talk about before. I'm sorry. The OVAC standings.
Yeah.
Pull these up.
Not looking good right now.
I guess that would be 1-6 after your game against Edison. What can you do to get your kids back on board and back on the train to go back on a run to get that number back in the top 4 there?
I think it truthfully, I'm hoping it started last night. I'm hoping that the last couple innings of last night kind of feeds into hopefully having some momentum tonight, because baseball is a streaky game. If we get a win tonight, have a good game Friday, have a good game Saturday, beat some teams that have wins on their schedule, I think that could send us on a run. Coming into this week, I thought all 4 games that we played with Edison, Union Local, Monroe, and Ferry would all be competitive. And last night was a 7-5 game. Probably could have been closer if we limit mistakes.
Right.
But yeah, so I think I think we have some competitive games the rest of the way, and hopefully next week we do a good enough job and kind of take care of business, for lack of a better word, and hope we can kind of sneak up there and get in there, but not looking good at the moment. Got a slow start, not playing the greatest. Not offense was a little sluggish to begin, and then
Yeah.
taking
And then
a week off
a week
hurt us
off.
too.
Yeah. Uncalled, unexpected week off there.
Yeah.
So yeah, this last segment here, it's going to be a rapid fire. It is sponsored by Corey's HVAC for all your heating and air conditioning issues, from services, repairs, and installations. Call Corey at 740-317-3649. Get a hold of him. Summertime's coming, so get your air conditioners up and going. So this is a rapid fire, Coach. Like I said, you're getting ready for a game. You got to get a meal in to settle the belly before you go out. What's a pregame meal that you like to go to?
I'm a huge. I like to eat wraps almost every meal, whether it be like a chicken wrap, turkey wrap, something light, something easy going.
All right.
So just something easy and light.
All right. Well, you're in the middle of a long game. You start to get that craving. What's a in-game snack or a drink that settles you over until you get some?
So I'm normally an anxious person, so we normally take some granola bars or bananas, something like that. But
Yeah.
like there's times that I'll be talking after the game and I'm like, I don't think I've drank water since we got here. So sometimes I go the whole game without even drinking water or anything. So
Oh man. You're driving down the road, you're prepping for your game, you're on the bus, you're at home at your field. What's a song that gets you jacked and ready to go every game?
a song. Honestly, our kids do a good job playing music. So whatever they play on the field, I just kind of we got some kind of throwback rock on there. It kind of gets me going. On the
Yeah.
bus, I try to just zone out and not even think about it, because I just kind of relax and hope that they just do their job, and my job is easy that day because
Right.
I'm unfortunately not able to play. I wish I was able to play again. But.
So you have no baseball, you have nothing going on. What's a hobby that you like to do on your off days when you have time with it? Winter, fall, spring, summer, whatever.
So now that I have a son, it's just kind of hanging out with my wife and him, and we have a daughter that's going to be due at the end of next month. So
Okay.
just really spending time with my family, because baseball season, like yesterday, was school started at 7:30. I got to go home for lunch for a half hour, and then I got home after our JV played last night at 10 o'clock. So it was a long day. So just on Sunday afternoons, just getting to hang out, maybe watching a Reds game with him, and just kind of playing and around the house is always fun.
So you're a Reds fan?
Yeah, I am.
How's that been?
Well, just depends on the day. Depends on how Ellie De La Cruz feels that day, I guess. Injury bug has got him now. So I grew up where I grew up around Zanesville. We lived like right in the center of Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh. So all my friends like different teams. And Ken Griffey Jr. was my favorite player, so easily a Reds fan, and Joey Votto. And now these young guys are fun to watch. I mean, the Pirates I enjoy watching the Pirates, but there's young guys. O'Neal Cruz, Ellie De La Cruz are two of the fun baseball guys to watch right now.
Anytime that they can throw a ball across the diamond 105 is
it's incredible. It's incredible.
Now we actually played a tournament down there and near Zanesville, down in Gloucester.
Oh, okay.
Dante Balmer, can't remember his last name. From Sheridan, maybe Trimble, Sheridan area.
Yeah.
They put on a tournament down there. They started in the COVID year. I think that was the first year they did it. We went down there and stayed at Oak Burr State Park.
Oh, okay.
Just a way to get out of the area, just to get during that COVID year. So we had a good time. We're actually sending a team down there again this year. It's been a while, but we're going to send a team down there this year.
I used to play down there when I was in little league, coach pitch stuff. So yeah, those were always fun tournaments down there.
There's not a good way to get down there though. That's some windy roads.
Yeah, I was about to say, unfortunately, from here, not too great. Great.
No, well, thank you, Coach. I appreciate you coming on board and giving some time for us. Good luck to you for the rest of the season. Hopefully, we'll connect back up and we'll see how the season ended or how it's going later on.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Coach. Have a good day.
You too.
Thanks.